The best experts on autism are autistic people living it.
Lived experience and narratives. Why lived experience matters. Research is important, but lived experience gives us more context. Autistic people have been telling their stories for decades now about being misdiagnosed, masking, misunderstanding, and finally, self-discovery, aka the unmasking. So, if you want to understand autism, the best thing you can do is listen to autistic voices. They'll tell you what no textbook can. The cost of masking. A lot of people that have autism grow up learning how to pass as neurotypical, meaning they hide their natural behaviors just to avoid being judged, excluded, or misunderstood. What masking actually means is forcing eye contact. You're suppressing stimmings, the calming, repetitive actions that, help you relax. Pretending to enjoy small talk, or you find yourself constantly copying how other people act just so you can fit in. On the surface, it might look like such a person is doing fine, but underneath it takes a serious toll. So why do they do it exactly, you may be asking? Because over time, many are taught, sometimes directly, sometimes subtly, they are taught that being themselves isn't acceptable. Though not so much like that. It can just be as simple, they're having conversation, they get a tap on their shoulder, and it starts to form a thought in their head that every time they open their mouth or do an action, it is not acceptable. And it just basically means that if they don't, such a person does not act normal, they won't be taken seriously. They won't be accepted, hired, befriended, or even loved. And to be fair, most of this pressure doesn't come from a place of malice. It often comes from genuine kindness, from teachers, your parents, co-workers who are just trying to help. But the message still lands the same. And I quote, "You'll do better if you hide who you are." Over time, that pressure leads to burnout, anxiety, even loss of identity. And because masking is often rewarded, because people will, when you're in those social situations and you're masking, people end up saying things like, "You're doing great. Oh, you were very lovely tonight." It reinforces the idea that the real version of them isn't good enough. That's actually how they internalize shame and how that builds up. Basically, masking, it is very much like wearing a costume 24/7, not just for Halloween, not even just for Comic-Con. It's eventually wearing that costume, it gets heavy, and you start to lose track of who you are underneath it all. Unmasking and acceptance. Recovery begins when people feel safe to unmask. That safety might come from a diagnosis, a community, or just someone saying, "You don't have to pretend anymore." Sometimes, I think, that safety also comes from within. By learning to read your environment, understanding the social cues, and recognizing when it's truly okay to be yourself, that's perfectly okay. That's how you can also determine for yourself that it's okay to unmask. So don't get me wrong, unmasking doesn't mean be 100% raw all the time, or ignoring any of the social rules of party or the meetup. Unmasking means you know who you are, you know what feels natural, and what feels forced. You choose when to show your authentic self based on your own comfort and safety, not just social pressure. And that's why learning to read the room is not masking. It's actually emotional intelligence. It helps you decide when it's safe to unmask, recognize who is safe, and set your own terms for being real. Because the thing is, when autistic individuals stop suppressing who they are, they often reconnect with their passion, their creativity, because they don't feel like they have to hide anymore. That's what understanding does. It creates space for people to be authentic. And honestly, I think that's what most of us want, autistic or not. We want to be able to be ourselves. Common themes from autistic adults. So, when you do listen to autistic voices, you start to see patterns. Sensory needs are real and valid, directness isn't rude, it's honest, and stimming isn't disruptive, okay? It's self-regulation. The repetitive action can be reassuring and de-stressing for some people. You also find out that social norms are actually learned and not something you are born with. So really understanding autism means unlearning some of your own biases. And that kind of humility is powerful. It doesn't just change how we treat others, it changes how we understand ourselves.
If you found this helpful, like and subscribe. The doctor is out.